Woo! How y'all doing tonight? You guys good? All right. I'll just get right to the point. I was on a Tinder date a couple of weeks ago, and this girl, like, we'd been texting for like 2 or 3 weeks before we finally had a chance to meet up for dinner. So I had a pretty good idea, like, you know, where her head was at and kind of, you know, who type of person she was. So we're out to dinner, and she excuses herself to go to the bathroom. And while she's in the bathroom, a text message, while she's in the bathroom, our food comes out, right? So I was like, oh, well, let me send her a text to let her know the food's here. Because, you know, sometimes people be in the bathroom just scrolling and kind of lose track of time. It happens, right? So I send her a text message to let her know the food is here. And that's when I realized that her phone is sitting right in front of me, right? I was like, oh, shit. And I glanced down, and that's when I noticed that she has me saved in her contacts as Jesse, Tinder, Mexican, and then there's an asterisk after the Mexican. And I'm like, what the fuck's the asterisk for? Is it because I'm Mexican, right? Like, she's categorizing me like Mexican, like maybe he's gonna take me to a mariachi festival. Maybe he'll take me to Tacolandia. Maybe he's not circumcised, right? Like, what's she worried about? And just when I'm like overthinking it, right? Like, 2 more text messages come in, and it's Jim and Randy. Jim is Tinder, Caucasian, no asterisk. Randy is Tinder, Asian, no asterisk. So it was me that was being labeled with this asterisk, right? So she starts, at this point, I see her walking back, and I look away from the phone really quick. Because, okay, look, I had turned the phone and I was looking, right? And I turned the phone away really quick, and as I turned the phone away, something else caught my eye. Her phone was at 8% battery life. What kind of monster just goes out with 8% battery life? You know, I'm looking for a girl that's responsible, right? Like, I'm like thinking about settling down and getting married, maybe having a family, you know? 8% battery life? She can't keep a phone alive. Our plants are gonna die. I'm not even considering kids with her at this point. It's at this point in the dinner where I think this isn't gonna work out. We'll just have dinner, call it a night. 20 minutes later, we're headed back to my place. Separate cars, because, you know, we get there, and she excuses herself to go to the bathroom again. Like, what? But at this point, I'm just curious. I look over, yes, 3, 4 more text messages all coming in, all of them labeled, you know, dating app, race. None of them have asterisks. And I also noticed something else. At this point, her phone is now at 3% battery life. You guys, it's a 30-minute drive from the restaurant to my house. She had time to charge her phone. She's obviously not concerned. I can't marry this girl. There's no way. There's no way. I think to myself, when she comes back, I'm just going to tell her, hey, I've had a good time. Let's just call it a night. Let's be on our way. 30 minutes later, we're hooking up. And we're going at it. We're going at it hot and heavy, right? And she's got these huge breasts, right? Huge breasts. And I'm like, I'm all into it because I'm a big boobs guy, right? She starts doing the move on me where she like smashes my head in between her boobs, just like starts whirling around like that, right? And I'm into it. I'm like, yeah. She's like, yeah. She like elbows me on the forehead. I'm like, oh yeah, this is fun, right? But then it stopped being fun for a second because somehow in some weird maneuver, this nostril get jammed up between one boob, and then a nipple went into the other boob, and for a split second, I couldn't breathe. And I thought to myself, I'm gonna fucking die right here under these boobs. Her phone's probably dead by now. Who's she gonna call? What's she gonna do? Is she just gonna leave me there? Is she gonna finish Weekend at Bernie's style? I don't know. So we finish. And you guys know that, like, that post-sex bliss vulnerability where you just feel like you could tell the person you were just very intimate with everything, you know? I was at that state with her, right? I was feeling just warm and cuddly and like drained. And I was gonna look over and ask her about the asterisk because the asterisk was still bothering me, you know. And she went to the bathroom again. It's like, what the fuck, right? And as she was in the bathroom, I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna ask her right now. And I was like, hey, I couldn't help but notice earlier that you had an asterisk after my name. And she laughed, and I kind of felt relieved because I was like, oh, it's probably a joke, you know. It was probably an accident. I was like, was it just an accident? You didn't mean to have an asterisk by my name? And she starts walking out of the bathroom. I can hear her come out of the bathroom. And she's like, no, it's kind of an inside joke. And I said, what do you mean? And she's like, well, asterisk really means ass trick. And I said, what? And at that point, she walked back into the room. She had a strap on that came down to her knees. She's like, it meant ass trick. I'm going to peg you now. This joke is to be continued. I gotta go, guys.